How about that economy? Bill, good morning. Well, let's put your microphone on. Now you can say good morning. There you go.
Good morning, Ken. How you doing?
I'm better, thanks.
Sound like my wife. I got to
Yeah.
repeat myself every time, just so she might hear me. Um,
That's it.
yeah, boy, oh boy, some some interesting numbers coming out.
A very get the ticker tape going, right?
Yeah, more like start burying the money in the backyard.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. We were talking about this, but so I know but in the CPI, Consumer Price Index number
Yeah.
came out this morning from the Labor Department, up 9.1% for the month of June.
For the month of June. And interestingly, the press secretary trying to say, hey, those numbers are already, those numbers don't really matter because
Oh no, because
everything's changed.
so gas was a big reason why
Yeah,
in
of
June.
course.
Okay, gas was up like 11%. I want to say. Let me double check here so I don't give you
Yeah.
false information. But yeah, 11.2%. Um, and 59.9% year over year. Gas prices were up.
Wow.
Yeah, fun, right? So you want to buy a car? Pre-pandemic, the percentage of cars sold at over MSRP was 9%. In June, it was 64 and change percent. 64% of cars being sold over MSRP. Is that price gouging?
Well, it's
Taking
because
advantage
it's
of the
because we don't have
situation?
chips,
Yeah,
microchips to run the cars.
oh, right.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
That's it. You
Yeah.
can actually buy a car and they'll give you the chips later.
yes.
So you want to hear another really interesting story about cars?
Yeah.
Not happening in the U.S. just yet, but it is happening over in Korea's and stuff. BMW
I heard this.
is now charging a monthly fee if you want them to turn on like your
Seat warmers.
your
Steering.
steering,
Yes.
steering wheel warmers,
Oh, you paid for it.
monthly.
Well, you paid for it that option in the price of the car too.
Well, it's built into the car already.
Yeah.
It's just they won't turn it on
Turn it
unless
on.
you pay them on a
That's
monthly
funny.
fee.
That is
I,
funny.
seriously, I mean, do you people spend too much time with Mayor Beetlejuice here in Chicago trying to figure out how to pick people's pockets? It just cracks me up. And
So now
it's
you
like,
pay for your radio
so now I
and
know.
your heated seats.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
now I
God.
know I'm not going to go look at a BMW. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not.
You're out.
Yep.
Which I wouldn't anyway, but now it just makes it even easier. But we got some other stuff going on. Grocery prices up 1% in June, 12.2% over the past 12 months. We got cereal up 2.5% in 1 month, 14.2 over the year. Bread up 1.6%, up 10.8% annually.
Mm.
Chicken was up 1.5% for the month, up 17.3 year over year. I mean, I don't want to throw number after number after number after you, but folks,
Wow.
if I'm tired of saying, oh, we don't want to say the R word. We are in a recession. It's so simple. It used to be, in order for you to declare a recession, you had to have 2 quarters back to back of the GDP, gross domestic product, had to be negative.
Negative. Yeah.
Folks, this is a new age. You don't have to have that. That'll follow. It's a trailing number, an indicator anyway. All of these numbers.
Well, because of unemployment numbers so low, that's why they're fighting, saying, "Well, there's not a recession because a lot of people are working."
Yeah, wait till next month.
Yeah.
We'll see how that unemployment number looks next month. We were talking about that too, and I was talking with my partner Deb about this, and you get on LinkedIn, and you're starting to see more and more people stating they've been laid off.
Yeah, looking.
It's growing, and it's crazy. I mean, it's not just one here or one there; it's all over. We know Walmart, Amazon, they've been laying people off, and other companies have. You're putting hiring freezes on, things of that nature.
We're not laying people off. We're shrinking from attrition.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
Yeah, exactly. And
You're fired.
Except for this whole group where you're out. But yeah, it's getting ugly out there. So now the stage is set for another 3/4 point rate increase coming from your wonderful Federal Reserve, and that's going to be painful. But the problem is inflation is outrunning the increase in interest rates. That's a problem. That's a
Right.
big problem
Right.
if you understand economics, that it's not doing what it's designed to do. Meaning, when you raise interest rates, you're trying to slow
Slow.
down the economy, right? You're trying to pull money out of the economy, slow it down, and get that inflation in check. And remember, I said this when we learned, probably maybe as long as a year ago, that when the Fed changed their strategy from front running inflation by
Yes.
raising interest rates when they see it coming,
Mhm.
they decided to let it happen, and they would go catch it afterwards.
Yeah, but again, was it around New Year's or Christmas when you had your son and daughter on? We learned that inflation doesn't bother the 25 to 30-year-olds because they go, hey, yeah, I can get this computer online, but I can find it cheaper on, Amazon lists 8 different prices.
Prime Amazon Day right today.
Oh yeah.
It's also National French Fry Day. So if you want to go out,
Oh, good French fry.
McDonald's giving away French fries and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So many other people. But yeah, you get all kinds of information here. But yeah, I'll tell you what. I would love to bring them back on and see how they feel about that now,
Yeah.
because I can guarantee you it's changed. Because my son got one of those Jeep L wagons or whatever. They're big.
Yeah.
And they guzzle gas, and they
Oh,
have
yeah.
big tanks. So people are feeling it in not just one way, but in almost every way they look.
Yeah.
Watch out, folks. If you're looking to sell your home, sell it now. If you're looking to find a job, you're too late. Probably. Last week we had a wonderful gal on the show talking all about, the executive recruiting and other types of recruiting,
Yeah.
how you need to be out there and how important your resume is. She looked at 500 resumes a day and only kept 5%. That's 25 resumes out of 500. Really? It's getting so tight, and the shift has moved back to the employer from the employee having more control. Right now, it's going back to the employer, and folks, there's paybacks. And I said this too before. Employers don't like to be messed with, by employees when they have the upper hand.
Right.
And now it's the pendulum swinging back the other way, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
You're going to be back in that seat where you're saying, God, I hope they don't let me go. Hope they don't let me go. Where you have that fear again that was gone for a little while. That's coming back to haunt you. But here's the thing: interest rates are still going to be too low compared to what the inflation rate is.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't. It's not as effective.
Mhm.
And so what do you do? Well, I know what our government's going to do. They're going to wind up printing money. That doesn't help, because when you print too much money, you have too much money in the market, it devalues the dollar. Yes, I know the dollar's getting stronger. We're now a little bit better than 1-to-1 on the euro.
And we should let it continue to get stronger.
It should continue to get
Right.
stronger, but if we start printing money, it devalues it. And here's how that works. You're thirsty guy.
Yeah.
You're in the desert. You come across another person who has one bottle of water. How much is that bottle worth? Probably a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah. So he has 10 bottles. You may not still have enough money in your pocket to cover costs for one. He's got 100 bottles. Maybe you got enough money in your pocket to buy a bottle of water from him. Now he's got 1,000,000 bottles. Now he's giving them away.
Right.
All right. That's what happens. When you increase how much money you put out into the economy, you devalue it. So folks, here's what happens. You devalue the dollar. It buys less. It costs more. Bad combination,
Mhm.
right? And if you want to borrow money, it costs more. It's a very tenable situation. So prepare. And if you own a business, you better start thinking about what are you going to do in a down market. I mean, that's the other side of the coin, right? And the stock market's going down. So you're losing money everywhere you look.
Yeah.
And if you aren't concerned about it and you don't know what to do about it, you better talk to a professional and find a good one, because there are ways actually to do well in this type of economy.
Yeah.
Investment wise and such. But again, the worst thing anybody can do right now is sit on their hands and hope and pray that
Yeah.
everything works out okay. Just that's called not making a decision. And in the trading pits, we used to always say, make the trade, manage the risk. In other words, make the decision, any decision, make a decision, trying to do something right, trying to go forward and manage the risk of that decision that you made. Very important. But what typically happens is business owners freeze because they don't want to spend any money.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they have dire needs, they're just trying to hang on, and they're going to hold on to their money, and they're not going to be buying anything. So sales are much tougher. Trust me, you got to be in the top 10% of salespeople to actually make sales going forward in this kind of market, because it's tough. Nobody wants to buy, no matter how badly they need it. They don't want to buy it if they don't absolutely feel they have a gun to their head and they have to do it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be challenging. It's in all areas. Housing is going to go down. Demand for housing is going to go down. Interest rates are too high. It's all of a sudden
well, the demand, which is actually going to work well because there's not a lot of inventory out there. So with the demand going down, it may balance out. I don't think we'll see a crash like we did in 08, 09. With the housing market, but the demand will go down, which then will allow the inventory to level back out a little bit.
Yeah, and if you go online and look at any one of the services and you see how many homes are available in each zip code that are on the market, there's a lot out there. It's not overly abundant, but there's plenty of homes out there. And then they'll list how many have been put out on the market in the last 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the people are getting picky.
But where money, the price of the money, you could buy a bigger house a year ago today.
Oh yeah.
Than you can today. So you may have qualified for a $350,000 home this time last year. You now can qualify for maybe a $200,000 to $250,000 home.
Well, I don't know if it's that hard.
No,
that much painful yet, but yet your point is taken. Yeah. You're right. And it's not like those home prices are going to drop too quickly. There's a delay in that as well.
Right.
There's a lagging, residual in that.
Right.
But it is going to be affected. And, and folks also understand when you buy a home, keep in mind that, let's say you get 5%. Okay. Let's say you're in your home for 3% now because you bought a year ago.
Yeah.
The reality is you're not in for 3%. If you bought within the last year, your interest rate is probably in that 70+% range. And if you don't believe me, go look at your monthly statement and look at what your principal pay down is and look what your interest pay down is. And you can tell right from those two numbers what your percentage is on your interest rate. Yeah. So it's extremely high. Most people think it's credit cards that are the highest. But.
Well, and what people aren't planning for is we're very fortunate here in the Midwest of the United States. We've had a pretty comfortable summer so far. It hasn't been too crazy, right?
We've had 12 in a row, 12 or 13 in a row.
Yeah. So not too crazy. Wait till winter comes and you're taking a look at your gas bill. People aren't planning for that. They're focused on that gasoline, but guess what's going to happen come, you better be chopping some wood.
There's actually a rumor out there that I've heard from actually a couple of different sources, which surprised me because I really thought this was a kind of a stupid rumor. But the rumor is that there's a potential for us to run out of diesel fuel within the next couple months.
Wow, that's interesting.
Because they've been making too much regular gasoline because that's been, that's skyrocketing. And that's where everybody's complaining.
I mean, a good thing would be to sell some reserves to. Never mind.
Yeah, well, so they put out the reserves, and what they put out is a drop in the bucket.
Well, sure, but it's interesting who they sold it to.
And it's like our governor and our mayor here in Illinois said that they're going to
Yeah.
rescind that 2 cent gasoline tax and that one,
Yeah.
in the city and 1 cent in the state. And it's like, okay, but those were ones that you put in play, and you called it a pandemic tax
Correct.
because it was just a reason where you could add a tax in there and say, well, it's helped cover the costs, um, you know, of what they feared was going to be high cost for having, dealing with COVID. So they're only taking, and it was supposed to only be a year long. So those aren't even supposed to still be in play anyway, but they're going to take credit for removing them. And boy, does that help. Because, I buy 20 gallons of gas, and that costs, you know, where are we at? $5. Let's say we're at
Yeah,
$5.
we're at it for right around 5.
Okay, so it's $100. Okay, so 20 gallons of gas, I save 2 cents per gallon. That's 40 cents.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So it's 9.
So now I'm paying $99.60
Yeah.
instead of 100.
Man, that's so good.
Yeah, and you want credit for that.
Right. and that's the way it goes. Now, interestingly though, right? I mean, we've seen this kind of economy before.
Yeah. Oh, many times.
And
But there's many people who have never seen this.
there are. Yeah.
I mean, we've had a 12-year plus bull
Mhm.
run. And so there are a lot of folks out there that have never seen or don't have a clue about what is happening here.
Right.
And they're not going to know what to do. It's going to get like getting hit over the head with a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
it's and you're
Buy stock in ramen noodles.
well, the big thing too is let's take a look at the way the world here in the United States operates. I pay you to go buy my groceries now or pick them up and deliver them to me. I pay you to drive me to the airport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We've become a society where we're paying. All right. Well, guess what? Those costs are going to increase and are increasing as well.
Absolutely.
To where, geez, this is what this is.
Well, there's drivers for those services out there that are saying, okay, it's not. I can't afford this.
Yeah.
To do this job anymore.
Right.
Right. Because the margins are too tight.
Too tight.
Restaurants. We talked about that.
Yes.
You went out to a restaurant
yesterday, Taco
yesterday.
Tuesday, right down the road here.
Yeah.
They always have $1.50. It's great. I go there several Tuesdays out of the month because good tacos, $1.50 taco. Here we go.
Hard
right?
to beat, man. Right.
And it used to be $1 taco. So
Yeah,
you're like, hey,
right.
let's go.
I remember those days. Yeah.
And it's still $1.50. You're like, all right, good, let's go. Pull up yesterday. I'm like, they're closed. Sign on the door says, due to short staff, we'll be back on Friday. A restaurant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not uncommon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It is not. I mean, many restaurants, even good ones, have been on a shoestring.
Yeah.
And this, is going to be painful for small businesses, for restaurants. Once again, the economy's on the backs of the small business owners.
Yeah.
And the small to medium size, mostly small, but because they make up about 88% of business.
Well, and now, so I mean, just as a business person, if you have to shutter your doors for a better portion of the week and you're just opening up, I mean, now your prices have to increase because you're not going to be bringing in the same kind of numbers.
Your costs, your expenses didn't go down because you're not open.
Right.
They might have gone down a little bit with energy and stuff like that. You're not using the ovens, the lighting, and air conditioning, and all that kind of stuff.
But not enough to.
That's pennies.
Yeah, it's pennies.
And you don't have to pay staff, but you still have to pay the rent. That's not going down.
No.
Right. The cost of food's not going down. It's going up.
Yeah.
It's just it's just not a pretty picture. And like we said, you get 12 years. You've got people that have been out of college. Now they're in their mid to early 30s who've never seen this.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. What about your 401k, folks? Well, by the way, it's down over 20% already this year.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to go down another 20%? I know I'm on the radio. You can't see me shaking head up and down. I do think that's a real, a realistic possibility. nobody has a crystal ball. We're not guaranteed
Yeah.
anything, but it's just folks, you have to prepare. You gotta start reining in the money you spend.
Yeah.
You gotta account for, you gotta look forward. What's school gonna cost, for your kids and stuff like that going forward. You gotta look ahead and see what are some costs that I know I incur at certain times of the year. There's seasonal costs, right?
Yeah. Well,
So,
but the school costs. The fortunate thing here in America is you don't go out and buy new school clothes. No, I mean, kids show up in their pajamas, right? So it's not like when you and I were kids, like, okay, it's time to get some new tough skins.
yeah, but books
And
aren't cheap.
no, well, now in the public school, there are no books. You get a
It's
you get a
all
Chromebook. Yeah,
okay. So it's all on it finally.
yeah.
Because I know my son, it started with my son, I think was a junior or
Hmm.
senior year in high school when they gave out those, he had Lenovo
Yeah, the little
book.
Chromebooks. Yeah,
Yeah. And they originally told us all the books were going to be on there
yeah,
and that we were going to pay, I don't know, $200 a year or something like that for each year they were in school. But because he was a junior, we had to pay the full 800
yeah.
and he get to keep the Chromebook or whatever. And I swear they told us the books would be on there, and I still had to spend $1,100 on books.
Books. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they've got that figured out now. So
well, it's about time. So good for that. But what does that cost? Is that free?
no, it's in there. Yeah.
Okay, you still got to pay something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's and they, I mean, the public school also knows that there's going to be X% that are never going to pay for it. So the prices
It's priced in.
cover the ones who they know.
Well,
aren't
you
gonna.
know what's interesting, and I heard this on the way in today. Um, so in Illinois, they had put a new computer system into play for property taxes.
Hmm.
And so that's the reason why the property taxes are going to come out late this year and get paid late this year. But they said it's okay because the good news is townships are flush with cash. I said that's interesting
Yeah,
because the new assessments are coming out, right? They claim the assessments are not going to go dramatically up like housing pricing has gone dramatically up.
right.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah,
The funny thing about assessments are there's a lot of little itty bitty numbers that go into an assessment. And if you ever look at your tax form and you see there's like 15, 20 different little numbers that make up how much you get taxed. And trust me, folks, when they take away from one of those numbers, they just add it on in another number down lower. And so they're going to get their money either way, and we went through, back in the day in 08, 09 with the housing debacle when people were complaining the value of homes dropped like a rock. And it was like, why don't my assessments go down? And town said, you know what? If you want the services to stay the way you're accustomed and expect to have them, then you just got to pay up. Okay.
or you can do it on an individual basis. We'll leave it the way it is. If you think it's wrong, you can challenge it.
Yeah.
We'll do it, that way.
Well, you can. It's a short-lived challenge. And the funny part is so you challenge your taxes, right? Your property taxes, and you win.
Enjoy.
Guess who loses? Your next door neighbor.
Yeah.
He does. Because they just hit him harder.
Yeah.
That's how it works in the same neighborhood. It's how the system works, at least here in Illinois.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So you're trying to help yourself and screw your neighbor. What a great decision to have to make.
America.
For some people that's a tough decision to make. For
Sure.
others it's like I don't care.
Right.
But and we have everything in between. But again, and so now business owners also same thing. You have to look forward, look ahead. What are expenses that you know are coming up that hit you maybe in September or October, November, or December? You're then you're going to make your budget for next year, right? You're going to start probably looking at doing that in October, November.
Well, yeah, and how do you boil a frog, right? I mean, you don't throw a frog into boiling water. If you're going to wait and wait and wait, and all of a sudden jack your prices up, good chances you're going to have a lot of difficulty there.
Business. You'll lose business.
Yeah.
It's and it gets down to the margins, right? Okay, if I jack my prices up 50%, I lose 20% of my business.
Right.
Am I better off? It depends. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
variables that get involved in that to say yes or
Mhm.
no. What are your costs? How did your margins shift and things of that nature? But so, folks, if you're out there looking to
Now, at the same
sell
point,
something, get out there going now.
at the same point, for all these years, when we've been giving money away at low interest rates, it's designed to get out there and spend.
Oh yeah, it's designed to get the
Not
economy going.
right. And on the rebound of that, though, we have to really take a look at it and say, okay, you can only do that for so long. Now we need to bolster savings and slow some things down. And now there are some different vehicles. I mean, being a financial advisor,
Yep.
there's some different vehicles that you can take advantage of now
There
that
are.
rates and things are rising, because over the past, well, over the past 12 years, there's been no need for a savings account at 0.01%.
Well, part of that problem is we Americans don't save.
No.
We just don't. We're some of the worst in the world. But, um, you're, I don't know what you're going to do to get people to start saving money because, how many people live paycheck to paycheck?
No, there are
50, 60%
yeah,
of the country.
It's got to be a majority are way out over their skis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the good old American way of living in debt,
Mm-hmm.
right? Credit card debt and things like that because our government does it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other joy. I mean, you talk about credit card debt. Guess what? That variable rate's going up, folks.
Oh boy, is it everything, car loans, home loans, HELOCs, um, just everything is going up. Now on the other side of that coin, bonds are going, up in interest rates, so they
Yeah.
yield a better rate. All right, but
Mhm.
folks, look at it this way: if the cost of living is going up at 9%, and you buy a bond that's paying you 5.5%, keep in mind you're down 4.5%. You're guaranteed
Right.
losing 4.5%
Guaranteed.
in that environment, right? Now take in the cost to buy the bond, right? And maybe you're paying an advisor a basis point or 1.5 basis points, something along those lines. Okay, factor that in. Now you're really losing money, right? So it's there are other vehicles out there that you really need to participate in that can
I mean, yeah.
protect.
So with the economy the way it is, small businesses, households, things of that nature, is you have to be calculated now. You can't just be out there running crazy and doing things haphazardly because
Yeah.
it has to be calculated to say, okay.
And that's another problem, right? Because how many times have you heard me say, I know what there's two things spouses never talk about:
That's right.
money and sex.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not talking about it, you're not writing it down. You're not calculating it
Right.
out. Now, this is not 100% of you. Okay, there's plenty of folks out there that do budget.
Yeah.
And there's still folks out there that are actually balancing checkbooks.
Mhm.
And keep track of that because here's we talked about this too. Here's another issue. So you're going to have consolidation. In this type of environment, you have consolidation of all kinds of businesses. Banking is every bit as much one of them as like mortgage companies and whatnot. So you're going to get your loans are going to be sold to new servicing companies. Folks, if that happens to you, pay very, very close attention to that. Because I can tell you from a very personal experience that I'm going through right now, our loan was sold from one mortgage company to another. And the day the transfer happened, my wife had a bank account opened up in her name that she was unaware of. 2 weeks later, somebody tried to open up a Discover card that we were not aware of. Now, we pay for a service to protect us from this.
Right.
We called the service and said, "Why aren't you protecting us? Why do I have to call you to tell you what's going on?" And I'm not going to name the name
Right.
of the company or anything, but I'm going to tell you the response was we may not know for up to 90 days. It depends on when it's reported to the to the companies. And that kind of blew me away. It's like, okay, then why am I paying you $10 a month to protect me from this
Yeah.
when you're not doing it? First thing you do, folks, is you call the TransUnion and Equifax and folks, and you put a fraud alert on. That's the first thing you do. That tells anybody who tries to open up an account in your name that they have to contact you, or they should contact you first before they open up the account. And it makes it much harder, or they just flat out decline it. But that's not 100% guaranteed, because there are businesses out there that will overlook that, or look the other way, or maybe they aren't as stringent about it. And you got to stay on top of it, because and the interesting part is with our experience we're going through right now.
Yeah.
The mortgage company that sold the loan to the company that bought it, the one who sold it owns the one that bought it.
Yeah.
So I know it's in-house.
Yeah.
And I'm calling both of them, and I'm trying to explain to them what is going on. You have a bad person in there who's stealing identity theft, which is a federal issue.
Yep.
And I can't get to anybody. They won't let me talk to anybody. I'm trying to help you solve a problem.
About 12 years ago.
And nobody will talk to me.
About 12 years ago, we did our taxes, and our accountant calls me and says, "You've already done your taxes." I said, "Well, no, that's why I hire you." And my Social Security number was stolen.
Yeah.
And somebody out in San Jose, California, we have the address, all that good stuff. I got the IRS, the FBI, everybody involved. And it is not fun. I had reports. I would call the accounts that were open. I mean, we'd been living in our house. We had the same cars. We weren't buying cars. We weren't using credit, right?
Yeah.
Alice and I really, really don't. We try to stay out of debt. And so when you're not pulling your credit, or you're not aware of it, you don't know these things.
True.
And so the hours spent on the phone with the companies that these accounts were open to say, "You need to close this. You need to take this off of my credit." They don't want to.
Now we're talking customer service, because I made a call yesterday. You go through a whole series of press this for that, press this for that, and then you press it, and then they say, "Okay, then press this, and then press that," and then they say, "Okay, back to main menu," and then they do pressing more and back to main menu, and it's like, which menu is a main menu?
Right.
Because you got a lot of them, and they all say something different, and it takes you 8 minutes to get through it all.
Yeah, it's a spider.
And then you talk to somebody who I actually talked to the mortgage the seller of the mortgage. I talked to that company yesterday, and I called them up and I said, I need to be put into either your compliance or your fraud department. You know what they told me? We don't have those.
What?
I just started laughing. I go, "Look, ma'am, I've been in the finance world 37 years, worked with banks for most of those years. Everyone has a fraud department. Everyone has a compliance department." She goes, "No, we don't here."
Oh, yes, you do.
And I'm just like, okay, I know I'm not getting anywhere with you. Can you give me your manager? No. I'm like, I thought it was kind of a law that if you ask for a manager, you have to be given a manager, or banking regulation. No. So I called the other company, the one who bought it, and I said, same thing. Need to talk to your compliance or fraud department. Response was, "I'm pretty sure we have those, but we don't know how to transfer you to them." I said, you don't have training on how to do. You have training on fraud. You have to.
You have to in this industry
every year.
Yep.
You've got your ethics training.
Several. Yeah.
It's a 3-hour course. You got to take it. it just blows my mind that I can talk to people. They're at such a low level that they don't even know
Hmm.
if there's a compliance or
Well,
fraud
and now,
department or
and
how to get
now,
to it.
and now, as we talked about in the green room, everybody is remote. So I'm sitting at my
Yeah.
dining room table watching The Price is Right, talking to you. Yeah, nope, I don't.
I can't transfer calls.
I'm looking for an F12 button that'll send you there, and I don't see it. So,
Well, I was asking,
yeah,
okay, let me talk to your manager. And she's like, no one seems to be around. And now that you mention it, they're probably looking around their home.
yep,
Yeah, I don't see
they
one in
ain't
the
lying.
kitchen.
They ain't
Yeah,
lying.
they're not lying.
Yeah,
But it is so flippin' frustrating.
yeah, it is. It's very
And
hard.
I know I'm not alone in this. There's a huge crowd for this. Um, but my only alternative is the folks who handle identity theft are the FBI.
Yeah,
You have to call the FBI and file a claim. And I'll be doing that. But I told these folks, I said, look, I'm trying to help you catch a perpetrator within your organization. It's obvious. We know it. Um, and you know, otherwise I'm going to have to file a report with the FBI, and that's a point of no return. So because now they're going to get into how many files did that person touch?
that's right.
You know, and your liability just skyrocketed.
That's right.
I was giving you the opportunity to handle this in-house, which was probably being way too nice because you don't know how high up that went, right? I sent an email to the person I believed was the head of compliance for the buying of the mortgage company, and never heard back.
Yeah.
I mean, I found her email address online, sent her my story, and never heard back. I'm like, I'm trying every way I can think of.
Navigating these menus and with these people is about as easy as backing up a trailer. What you think is right, it goes left. When you think it's left, it goes right. It is, yeah.
Don't you have one of those new Ford things? You just spin the little dial in between, and it does it for you.
Well, you just get out and you press the button, and it squeezes between two cars.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's true. Yeah, we love that commercial. Yeah, it's just but pay attention, folks, because this happens, and you can't let up. You have to keep following through. So they opened up a bank account, my wife's name, a checking and savings account. Yeah. We found out because we got a statement in the mail, and that's how we knew there was no money in either account.
Yeah,
no activity or anything like that. We go to the bank, we close the accounts. Lo and behold, a month later, we get a statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, so here's the other issue right now that needs to be laid on the table as well is in the real estate industry is now title theft, right? Yeah. So now they've got your
that's all over the place now.
They've got your wife's information, and now with all of the equity in homes,
yeah,
I go out to a credit union or someplace online that's not asking for IDs and things like that,
right,
to get a line of credit on that house, and next thing you know, you've got 2 liens on your house,
yeah,
that you don't know anything about.
You know, and I know in Lake County you can sign up for a service that if anybody makes any inquiry into your title, you get notified.
Yeah, it's worth it, folks.
So I signed up for that right away. But you know, it's funny because you're hearing all those commercials for now title protection. Buy this. Just like your car warranty ran out, kind of thing. And I get in the mail yesterday for my pipes and sewer lines. They now want to sell me a policy for my pipes and sewer lines.
Yeah, because
those could go bad.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, I don't think ever in the history of homeownership have I ever seen protection services that you pay for on a monthly basis for your pipes and sewer lines.
Because now what we found is that you are responsible for everything out to the water main or the sewer main.
Okay.
So if something goes, let's say you get a root through it or something like that.
You paid that before anyway.
Right.
I've had that happen.
Yeah. But that's the big thing now is they're saying, hey, well, and again, it's like flood insurance on your house when you live on a hill.
Right. Or I love the ones, where you live in the Marina Towers down in Chicago, right on the river. if you're on the top floor, you still have to have flood insurance
Flood
because you're
insurance.
within 500 feet
The
of
100-year
open water
flood,
or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, the 100-year flood.
And you're on the 45th floor.
Right. Yeah. That's so true. And so that is, it's out there. I mean, and here's what I tell people is I'm a firm believer in capitalism and free enterprise. And hey, if you can go out and make a dollar, you go out and make a dollar. Doesn't mean I have to spend a dollar with you, but if you can go out and make it, go out.
I still like to deal with principles.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's just it's just amazing how many things are out there and how many people are out there trying to pick your pocket.
That's right.
And that's really what they're all trying to do. And look at the price gouging that is going on all over the place, taking advantage of situations. We're blaming, Ukraine, Russia for a lot of these cost increases and stuff. Folks, we make all of the things that they're blaming on Ukraine and Russia situation right here in the U.S.
You betcha.
It's all here. We got it. Take care of home first and then start exporting.
Yeah.
But exporting is going to slow down anyway because the dollar is getting stronger, and which means it's harder for the foreign entities to purchase U.S. products.
So with the state of the world, with social media the way it is, with the way people look at navigate through their lives, is we don't hear from the local senator. We don't, we get the sound bites from the governor, we get the sound bites from the mayor, we get the sound bites from the president, and maybe the House majority, whatever. But we don't get the guy or the gal who's your local that's irritated trying to fight for you, getting the door slammed on their face all the time.
Yeah.
Anymore, right?
No, you don't. And it's not for lack of them trying.
Right.
But that's the issue with our state. If you're Republican, you get nothing done.
Yeah.
So it's just an uphill battle. We saw that when Rauner was governor. We thought, okay, this guy's going to come in. He's a billionaire. He's built businesses. He knows economy. He knows finance. And he's going to get something done. And he couldn't.
Nope.
He got stymied.
Yep.
And everybody said, oh, he was the worst governor ever. Well, no, he ran into a brick wall. Now, part of that brick wall is about to go to jail.
That's right. That's right.
So hopefully we have an opportunity.
Brick wall, yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't feel too secure in our choice for a governor in that position coming into elections.
Right.
Terrible choice. But and there's all that still want to blame Trump, that all this is happening because of Trump. No. This stuff has only been happening since we started printing too much money.
Yep.
And that was with the new system that's in place. So get over that. It's like I said, it's just going to get a little bit uglier. I'm not Eeyore saying, oh, it's going to rain, the sky is going to fall, or whatever, Chicken Little. But it's going to get ugly. It's and this is not a March of 2022 where the market drops 20% and bounces right back by the end of the year and is up 12 or 14% by the end of the year. This is not that kind of a scenario. This is a multi-year troubling times. Multi-year being 2 years. Hopefully we can get through it in that short of a time frame. But could it be 5 years? Yes. It's one of the things that helps out is technology. Helps get out of these things a little bit more quickly, more efficiently, and whatnot. But that doesn't work for every aspect of finance and economies. And the rest of the world is hurting much worse than we are.
Yeah.
So they're not dragging us down. They're down because we're down. Right. And the interesting part about being outside the U.S. is countries outside the U.S. when we get soft in our economy, they get soft faster because they see it coming.
Yeah.
Right. And when we get stronger as an economy, they get stronger more slowly. So they lag on the good end and they front run the bad end.
Yeah.
Not a good combination. But there's a lot of foreign money trying to get into the U.S. because it's still the best place to be.
Yep.
Financially safe haven. They hope.
Yeah. So what are some tricks here in the last few minutes, 15 minutes or so of the show? What are some tricks for business owners to navigate through this? Because you have a lot of business owners, again, a large sampling of the listeners here.
Yeah.
Are 1, 2, 3 man shops or women's shops. I own a truck. I specify in a business, whether it's marketing or whatever. What are some tips that can help them navigate through the economy as it continues to as this wave continues to build?
Well, look at some of the other aspects of business that you touch with what you're doing now, right? If you're selling tires, maybe you ought to look to sell rims and tires,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But it's got to be closely associated. You got to know
Yeah,
what
stay in your wheelhouse.
stay
Right?
in your wheelhouse, but put a few more spokes in that wheel
Yeah.
to try and generate returns. But be careful about that too, because you want to do your homework, do your research. Is that a market that is inflationary,
Mm-hmm.
safe?
Safe, yeah.
Because I had a conversation with a gal yesterday, and she was looking to move into a different category, and I said to her, I said, I don't think that's a good category, because she was looking to move into lead generation from a marketing business.
Yeah.
And she had worked in that area and she knew it a little bit. And I said, okay, but lead generation going forward, I don't see that as a viable business right now. I don't think that's a business that's going to maintain or grow in a down market.
Yeah.
I said, so I don't think that's the answer. You also look to do things like more marketing, more advertising, and in the right places.
Thank you. Yeah.
Not just throw it out. Don't throw leaflets out of a plane.
Yeah, you really need to understand your avatar.
Yeah.
And you really gotta laser focus your marketing on that person.
You need a good business plan. If you don't have a business plan, you don't have a business, because you don't have direction and you don't have the key performance indicators. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how to act or react. You're always reacting. Very big in the financial world, they react more than anybody, but banks. But it's you got to have a good plan together, because a good plan tells you, okay, here's an annual plan, but here's what I want to be each month. Here's where I want to be each quarter. And then you can break it down. Okay, so what do I need to do each week to reach my goal for the month, and where am I at for the month to reach it for the quarter, and so on. Because if you don't, you don't know where you are.
Yeah.
You don't know what's slipping, what's not. Know your books.
Yeah.
Know your financial statements. Most small business owners, those under 12, 15 people, most business owners, even business owners that have 200 people, they don't know their financials. They know one sheet. That is the sheet that says, okay, I started the year with this, I took in this much, I spent that much, and here's what I have left over. And if it's a bigger number, if it's a positive number, you're happy. If it's a negative number, you're sitting there scrambling, trying to figure out why. And here's things. You have to look at all your costs. So I talked to a friend of mine who owns a fire extinguisher business. And I said, what do you charge to send a truck out? He goes, $70 on a service call. I said, okay, great. What's it cost to send them out? And he looked at me like a deer in the headlights. I said, what? He had no clues. I said, what if it's costing you 80, 90, $100? You're losing money every time.
Every time.
And he goes, it's okay. We make up for it in sales. And finding stuff wrong and doing more work and making more money that way. Well, that might work in a really wonderful 12-year bull run economy, but it does not work in a bear market.
I mean, you may be paying more in shipping than you are in the actual product. So maybe you change the way you get that product delivered, or you go pick it up.
Yeah, that's another thing. So I drove an hour away to my brother-in-law's place, and my wife and I each had our keys in our pockets, and I put mine on his counter when we left. And I get in the car starts because my wife had her keys in it, and her on her, and we drove home. And then my brother-in-law texted me and said, "Hey,
Can I
are
get my
these
keys?
yours?" I go, "Ah, crud!" And he's an hour away, right? So
Yeah.
that's like $8,
Yep.
or $10 of driving or something each way.
Yep.
Um, and so I said, go ahead and just mail them back to me. And he did. He mailed them back to me. I get the package, and the package says $6.38. I texted him back. I said, "Geez, I think I owe you a gallon of gas." It's like I would have spent almost as much, half as much
Right.
anyway. That's just crazy.
Yeah, it is.
But you have to look at all your costs. As a
Mhm.
business owner, you better really understand your costs right now,
Yeah.
because you can look and see where you can trim costs. And I would, you know, in my business, I would rather trim costs than trim people.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
if we go back to a show early in the first quarter, define, and uh, the name slips me. He's out in New York, but define your target customer. He
yeah.
says, this is how you create the machine.
It
Right.
is. Oh, so Joe Rojas.
Joe,
You're
thank you,
talking about
thank you.
Joe
Joe,
Rojas,
right?
and those
Yes.
5
Yeah. So you
pillars
define.
you have to build. But
Yep.
yeah,
So you define your target customer. What problem do you solve for them? The what program do you have to solve it?
yeah,
And then repeatable sales and marketing and repeatable delivery. Now in this economy, that repeatable sales and marketing and repeatable delivery is huge.
well,
Huge.
all right. We'll throw one more
Yeah.
problem. We'll throw one more wrench into this whole thing. All those people who quit last year,
Yeah.
not all, but
A good chunk.
a huge chunk of those people that quit last year found out how hard it is to start their own business.
Yeah.
Don't know how to do it. Didn't make the money they were hoping to make or dreamt of making,
Yeah.
and now want to come back to work. Well, guess what? Go look at LinkedIn. Okay, just flip through LinkedIn, and you'll see. Just got laid off. Just got laid off. Just got laid off. All over the place. You'll see jobs that were available 2 weeks ago are gone.
Yeah.
They're not advertising anymore. In fact, I've looked on some pages of people I was looking up, especially in the bank, trying to find the mortgage people. And I saw all of the jobs that they had posted said, um, not accepting any resumes, not accepting any resumes.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of different things going on here, and I'm hard pressed to find something
Mhm.
positive. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm not trying to be a bearer of bad news. I'm trying to help people understand what the tidal wave that's coming at them.
Yeah.
And that light is a train. It's not the end of the tunnel.
Right. There's something
You know,
coming bearing down on you. Yeah.
yeah. And you need to prepare. And I don't know what else to do or how else to do it
Right.
than shout at the top of my lungs that these are things you can do to
Because
prepare.
let's be totally honest. If you've been running a small business for the last year or two, you've enjoyed some freedoms and some success, and it is going to be very hard and very uncomfortable to fold that and walk into somebody and say, "I need a job."
Yeah, you're gonna learn the lessons about why did I buy that expensive new car?
Yeah.
Why did I overpay for that house?
Yeah.
Why did I have to live here? Rent's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
It just I'm just trying to find something in life that's less expensive other than sitting around and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Check your cable bills. Maybe a switch to streaming. I can tell you, I did it a few
Well-
years ago. It took me a couple of years for my son to convince me, and when I did it, it literally took me like 2 weeks to get accustomed to it.
Right,
It was
but
like nothing.
But at the same time, don't sign up for every streaming thing because you'll be paying just as much as kids.
No, spread it out over family.
Absolutely.
That's
the way we do it.
Yeah, yeah. Although they're kind of chomping down on that as well, but it's like, okay, I told you, my wife and I went to a movie. It was $50.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah.
It was like $24 for the two of us to get in. which I said, okay, $12. Okay.
Ridiculous.
I don't, that's why I haven't been to a movie theater in 5 years. But, and then you get in, we had 2 bottles of water, small bottles like I got
Yeah.
right here, 16 ounce or whatever these
Yeah,
are,
12
12
ounce,
ounce, and a popcorn. And then that was another $27.
Yeah.
$51 to have a medium popcorn, 2 bottles of
How
water,
was the movie?
and watch a movie.
Not worth $50.
No, the movie was really good. It was Top Gun.
Oh well, yeah.
It had to be Top Gun. That's what got me out.
Again, not worth $50.
No, not worth it. No, I don't know about that, but
You old guys like the nostalgia. You see,
but then there's my son who pays that $18 a month, all you can see movies.
Yeah.
At the theater.
Yeah.
So, but then he feels obligated. He's got to go.
You got to go.
You know, and personally, I don't like going to movies, especially if they're 2+ hours long. Yeah, to me, it's a waste of time.
But here's another good point to what you just said too, and this is a tip for business owners. This is a tip for just our general listeners who aren't business owners. Is this: do an audit of your bank account and get rid of any of those monthly subscriptions.
Yeah,
that are just in there bleeding you for $9, $5. You won't imagine the amount of money that you save, just knowing that those $5 are not coming out.
Definitely question why you're paying for certain services. What are you getting for that?
Yeah.
It sounded great when it was sold to you. You thought you needed it. You found maybe you saw value in it.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's kind of snake oil.
Yeah.
For many of it.
Or you used it, you haven't used it for a year or two now.
Right.
Those gym memberships. The gyms aren't in business to get people healthy. Gyms are in business to make money.
Yeah.
And hey, man, it's $10 a month, knowing that 72.46% of the people are not going to show up every month, but they make their money.
Yeah, but they did switch to like month to month instead of you paid annual fee and then you show up for 3 weeks and then you never go back.
Right.
Peloton just announced that they're no longer making their bikes.
Wow.
That they're gonna be made in China.
Wow.
So they see the pain coming too, and they're cutting costs, and that's a big way to do it. If you're, I hate to say it, I love Made in America. I seek it out, but big companies like that, they're like my margins are killing me. And we know Peloton's been having problems for a while.
Yeah.
But there's you really got to look, and you got to pay attention. I know it's no fun, folks. I know you don't love numbers. Not everybody loves numbers, and I've probably thrown a zillion numbers at you today, because I do love numbers, and I know what they mean, but you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
You don't pay attention, and you don't know what happened. The next thing you know, you're selling your home, or you're selling your car, you're giving it back. I know it's painful.
That's it. Well, that music means one thing. We're at the top of the hour. Hey, listen, everybody, come back this evening at 6. We've got a brand new show here, 216 The Net, called The Slate. Real Talk with Scott Dean. It's all about the Hollywood movie scene, as he is the owner of the drive-in theater here in McHenry. It's going to be a really cool show with some really great guests. So come back for The Slate tonight at 6. You don't want to miss it. For all of us here at 216 The Net, thanks for getting caught in the net with us here this morning. This has been Innovative Strategies with Bill Hussey, here every Wednesday at 9 a.m.
Central Time.
Central. Bill, have a great week. We'll do it all again next week.
You do the same. Thanks, Kent. Appreciate it. Thanks for all listening, and take care now.